行くぞはっジェノサイカッター
What's up, everybody? This is Forgo, and today I want to give you the list of the best characters that you can use in Rite of Passage. And this is a game mode that is extremely difficult. Whatever tier you're at in RHD, so for example, I'm at tier 47 in Reviving Hell's Dungeon or RHD, then you're going to be fighting that level of characters. So I'm facing level 47 characters. And they are insanely strong. And you can see the characters that I use, and I use these characters on a daily basis. I never care if I have a type advantage or disadvantage, although you should. I mean, you should care about that, but I never do because usually I can get the wins. It doesn't matter, it seems like because I'm using such OP characters, they can get it done. And by the way, all 5 of these characters are going to be on that list. They are absolutely insane. So let's talk about the best characters. Now, I'm not going to run through every single one of them. Otherwise, I'd be here for an eternity. So I'll lay out some of the ground rules for what I think is the best characters for Rite of Passage. The best characters, in my opinion, are characters that have counter core effects, characters that have hyper armor, that's a big one right there, and characters that have long range attacks. So for example, if you have a character like Pretty Zero, who does have a nice long range attack, she has insane damage, but she has a 2-second immunity from her core. She's not the best. She is a very fragile character that after that 2 seconds finishes, you can die very quickly. Something to note about Rite of Passage is because those characters are so strong, they have so much attack, max imprint stones and all this craziness, their dot effects are insane. So you might get to jump on an opponent, but if they apply some dot to you, you can die very, very quickly. That is something to keep in mind, from this list. And with all these characters, I think all of them can put in work. I think all of them can get you wins in Rite of Passage. Every one of these best characters can absolutely do it because it all depends on how well you play. It depends on whether or not you're going to have a type advantage or disadvantage against the opponent. Obviously, if you have a type advantage, then you're going to do more damage. You're going to do 50% more damage. And if you have a type disadvantage, you're going to do 50% less damage and take 50% more damage. And when you're using those handicaps in Rite of Passage, we'll just go ahead and show that real quick. When you're using these handicaps, I always play with max 3 handicaps because you get more tokens. That way you can get better rewards in here. And, with the first handicap, it decreases your attack. And the second handicap decreases your HP by 50%. And then you can't even roll. So this is another reason that you cannot roll is why I really like having characters with nice long range attacks. But again, every character here can put in work. Every character properly played with the right card sets can definitely get it done. So keep that in mind, with this list. I'm just throwing out the characters that I believe, and this is just my humble opinion, that are the best for Rite of Passage. So the first character is Eileen. Eileen's actually really damn good, and the reason is because of her first skill. She is nutso with this thing because her first skill can actually remove the buffs. So if the opponent has hyper armor, she just takes it away. They usually charge at you almost every time. They'll charge at you, and you can just use your hyper armor, then your immunity from your second skill, and just murder. She does so much damage so fast, she just murders them. And that's just the truth of it. The girl just murders. Dylan, because of his third skill, because it removes active skills, and it's a nice long range attack, he just builds up his PG. He's absolutely insane for Rite of Passage. Wonderful character for this. Rugal, because he has 2 nice long range attacks with the God Press and his first skill, and also because of the hyper armor that can actually be reset. He's absolutely insane, and he does bleed damage. That's something else you'll notice. I have dot effects on all these characters. Now, Orochi doesn't have a dot effect, but because he has a built-in Leah where you can actually reset your damn skills, like this skill is an interrupt skill that actually can reset your other 2 skills. That is crazy. That is crazy. And he can disable the target's active skills for 2 seconds when successful skill guard included ends. So he's absolutely insane for this. And his first skill is a nice long range attack. Unfortunately, I don't think these 2 characters are the best. Vanessa's, a paper character, unfortunately. Like all these characters, like I said earlier, They can put in work, but I just don't think they're the best. Pretty Zero, if you're facing a Mukai, she's absolutely insane. If you're facing Mukai, she is nuts. Oh, because of the Reflect Petrify. Man, she's good against him. But other than that, she can die pretty damn easy. Yeah, I was using her for a long time. She isn't very consistent with her wins. But characters like Karate are, because he has a chance to reset his first skill. He has hyper armor. And the way you play him, you know, whenever these cooldowns are so low, whenever the character falls flat on their back, you can just slowly, methodically use your skills and always have your skills ready. You don't need a Leah set, nothing like that for him. He's really great. Now, I know some of you probably want, you know, Nameless. I don't put Nameless on this list because Nameless relies on super armor from his core. That's kind of a thing I don't like about the character. If he doesn't get his super armor, whether it's from a core, from a card effect, they throw him up in the air and he pretty much just gets murdered. Those characters are insanely strong. Remember, they can just one-shot you. Even a defensive character like this, they can just one-shot you. And yeah, he has the super armor, or he has the immunity on his third skill, and it's a range attack. But I'm telling you, a lot of times they'll use their hyper armor skill or super armor skill, and they'll just burn through you. They will just murder it. They'll just bulldoze you and destroy you. So Nameless is great, and you know, don't get me wrong, you can definitely get those clear, you can definitely get the wins. But he isn't as consistent as, say, a character like Karate, or a character like Rugal, or BS Orochi, or even really these two characters, to be perfectly honest. Ignis, he's just fragile. Even with his decreased damage received, he just dies so easy. Genis is insane because of his low cooldowns, long range, wonderful character. So really, honestly, guys, Eileen, Dylan, Rugal, BS Orochi, Mr. Karate, Genis are top. And Mukai, that's right, Mukai is on this list. Mukai is one underrated character when it comes to this game mode. This bastard is crazy strong. I have all my characters that I play and Rite of Passage all have imprint stones. They all are like level 50. But Mukai, and you guys saw that he was on my Rite of Passage list, doesn't. He has none of these things. Yet I'm always able to get the win almost every single time because of his Petrified Core, unless he's facing, you know, someone like Kim or Lady Kim or Pretty Zero. But other than that, this dude is great because of his long range attack. You can literally play him to where you start with your hyper armor skill, do your basic attacks, back up a little bit, wait a little bit, and then do your first skill. Let the first skill play out, they'll fall lying on their back, and then your hyper armor is going to be ready to do it again. And you can just keep rotating between your hyper armor and your first skill, back and forth, and destroy guys. Even and if he gets in trouble, he's got the Petrified Core effect. Mukai is insane for Rite of Passage. One of the best characters easily in this game for it. He is so good. Rugal is actually really great too, because of he has a nice long range attack on his third skill that actually can stun, and he actually pushes them back. If you know how to play Rugal, he's really damn good for this because he has low cooldowns, and by the time you finish your skills will be ready to use again. Very good character, honestly, for it. One of the best. Ash, he's a pretty niche character, to be perfectly honest, because he has this core effect that gains super armor when he's burn, poison, or bleed. Now, if you set him up to where you're facing a yellow character when you have the type advantage, and they have burn, poison, or bleed, he'll be nuts. He has a nice long range attack. He's really good, but he's a niche character for it, and that's why he isn't at the top of the list. You know, and again, guys, a lot of these characters are just, they really are great, and they can definitely get the clear. They can definitely win. They can. I don't want to stress that because this is just my humble opinion of who I think are the best characters for this overall. And like I said earlier, I exclude characters that have these 2-second immunities from their cores. They really need hyper armor and good long range attacks in order for me to think that they are the best for Rite of Passage. It doesn't mean that these characters can't get it done. Kula can absolutely get it done. Maxima can absolutely get it done. I just don't think they're the best for it. Especially Kula, really insane with the Ice Coffin. Pretty big, really good, but her damage is kind of, it's not as on par as with these attack type characters that have hyper armor. I mean, that's something else to notice, guys. You know, Orochi's he's an exception, but look at this. Hyper armor, attack, lots of attack. You want to kill these opponents as fast as possible because their defenses are insane. and their damage is also insane. They will one-shot you. Pretty Big's really good for it because of the combos that she can do, the hyper armor, the poison damage. She's actually really, really great. But I don't think she's the best. And Gintoki is kind of the, he's really great, but not the best character in my opinion. Nakaruru, I mean, if you're facing a Nakaruru in Rite Passage, she's nutso. Geese is kind of like an exception to the hyper armor rule. And the reason being is because he has this nice stun on his second skill. 2-second stun, he gets the immunity, and when he uses a blast skill, which is his first or third skill, he'll get super armor. And Geese can actually destroy. His damage is through the roof. He has low cooldowns. He can absolutely destroy. If properly played, he can destroy those guys in Rite of Passage. Really strong character. I don't think he's the best, but I do think he's really damn good for it. And when I'm passing up these characters, remember, no hyper armor, no immunity. Kyo is actually really damn good. In fact, if you face a Kyo in Rite of Passage, you're going to find that he's quite the nightmare. Very strong character for Rite of Passage. Even though he's a balance, his burn's just nuts. Zero, insane character. Top of the list, amazing. Okay, so I'm just going to keep on moving, guys. 97 Orochi is actually really good now for it because he can actually reset his hyper armor skill. He builds up PG super fast. He has a nice 3 PG that has full animation. He's actually really good for this. Definitely one of the tops. Rudy, insane top character because of his interrupt hyper armor skill, the low cooldowns. He builds up PG really fast. Really great character for it. Elizabeth's actually really good too because of her core effect, the heals. She also has hyper armor. She also can freeze. She's actually really good for it. And then we're moving along. Kim, I mean, she's pretty niche. If you're facing characters that petrify, she can be really good. Like maybe she faces a pretty Zero or a Mukai. She's really good because she's immune to petrify. She does have hyper armor. She's a tricky character to play. And she has a lot of short range attacks. That's why she is at the top. She has short range attacks. And again, it doesn't mean she isn't good or can't do it. She absolutely can. But I'm telling you, range attacks really, really help. We're just going to move along here. Rock here, he's actually really good. I don't know about Mian. I haven't played her in there. I have no idea how good she would be. She does have immunity and super armor in her kit. I imagine she can do well. She can also reset 2 different skills. So I would think, and she has 2 different dot effects. So I would think she'd be really good, but she doesn't have hyper armor. That's kind of the thing, guys. But it remains to be seen how good she'll be. Rock here is actually really good. For Rite of Passage, he has a nice long range attack on his first skill. He can reset his second skill. He builds up PG super fast. And when he gets stunned, he actually has a heal as well. He's actually really good for it. He's not too bad. And he does gain hyper armor whenever he's petrified or stunned. So whenever he's going against characters that have stuns or petrify, he's actually a really good character for it. These characters, guys, can die super easy. Elizabeth here actually builds up her PG super fast. Actually, she might be pretty damn good in this. She is a defensive character, and she also does have a range attack on her skill. So I actually think she would be really great for this. And Adelaide would actually be really great for it too because he can actually move active buff. Now, the thing about Adelaide is he's kind of niche, and he isn't at the top of the list because he doesn't have hyper armor. And his remove active buff is on a percentage rate. It's not guaranteed. So if he doesn't remove that buff, he'll die instantly. That's kind of the bad thing about him. John just isn't that good, to be perfectly honest, guys. For it, I mean, obviously he can put in work, but he just isn't that good. Jeanette builds up her PG super fast from her core, and she can actually do really well. She does have hyper armor with a freeze. So as long as you're facing characters that aren't immune to freeze, which aren't very many, like Rock and Mature, she can definitely put in some work. She'd actually be really good for it, but not the best in my opinion. She doesn't have any nice long range attacks, and that hurts her a little bit. We're just skipping along, guys. Holderud, she's not too bad, but the damage just isn't quite there. I just don't think she's the best for it. And Alice here actually builds up her PG super fast. She can actually put in work. To be perfectly honest. And that concludes my Fest characters. Now, I know that all these characters can put in work. I know that all these characters can get it done. And again, guys, the tops for me, the tops, easily, in my opinion, are Eileen, Dylan, Rugal, BS Orochi, Mr. Karate, Ginitz, Mukai, Rugal again, Zero here, Kyo, very honorable, good honorable mention, Orochi here, Rudy, and that's it for the Fest characters. Now, again, it doesn't mean that I don't think these characters can't get it done. Like Pretty Clone here, she can do really well if you play her well. So can Chrysalid, so can Undertaker. Like all these characters can definitely get it done. They can definitely do well in Rite of Passage. It's just, this is just my humble opinion about what the best characters are for it overall. Characters that I never switch. I use the same characters over and over in Rite of Passage. I never switch them. A couple other honorable mentions is Jin Kazama. Really great character for it. Kazuya, Harumaru is really good as well. Genjuro is another really great one for it because of the hyper armor and the nice range attack from his first skill. So that concludes my list of the best characters for Rite of Passage. And again, guys, I mean, there's plenty of characters that can definitely get done. I mean, Kay can destroy, Maxima can destroy, Leona can destroy, Ignis can destroy. A lot of characters can definitely get those wins and clears. I played them in Rite of Passage. They can do well. But the characters that have these hyper armors and these range attacks, the low cooldowns, they are just the best in my humble opinion. So let me know what you think about this list. And if you agree with me, and let me know what characters you're using in Rite of Passage. And as always, let me know what characters you've gotten, what cards you've gotten. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one.